He's got the big trailer that tips off the turf.
Oh, he's not bagging it then?
No, I asked him, is he bagging?
I get you. No, well, that's handy, isn't it?
No, but you would need a big high roof.
So does he empty the bags on?
No, he must throw them into the trailer.
No, because that sounds hard work.
No. Well, the throwing. I didn't mind the throwing the bag, and was the one because then the bags would be smelly fish bags or something like that, and the pong off them would be.
Oh, it's all changed now. It's all.
Is it? What kind of bags
do you use?
It's all
windling nuts and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, and so then the
food.
dust will be blowing in your eyes and stuff, and the smell and the yolks and stuff like that.
Sure, what else would you get?
So you'd be throwing them in, and then you'd be going back, reversing into. So you need a big. What do you call it? A big barn, a big shed.
Nah, throw them
for
outside and put a tarpaulin over the top of them.
Nah, wouldn't be the same. Get soggy.
No, they won't. No, you want them to breathe. You leave a bit of air for them to breathe.
Put them on pallets then, no? Just put them in the shed.
Did you ever have a strip of bog? Because back in the day,
we did
it used to be associated. You bought a house and sometimes you'd have a strip of a bog 10 miles
attached
away.
To it? No, yeah. Dad had to go to a local neighbour to see could he get a bit of a bog. We got a bit of a bog.
When was the last time you cut turf?
Oh, I would say about 30 years ago, and don't miss it. But the way the price of that oil has gone, would give you the heebie-jeebies, wouldn't it?
I know, but listen, it'll all come down.
You have
year.
peats at home and stuff, don't you?
No, peat, no.
Do you not? Well, you got plenty. But you have logs and stuff.
Yeah,
you have that nice wee fire.
Logs and coal.
Logs and coal. The peats burn. The black stuff's good. Do you know? But
it's a lot of work. It's like running a steam train. You're back and forward to it the whole time.
And the climate that we're in at the minute,
ash.
I would rather be looking at it than not looking forwards anyway. It'd be nice to run out there and get the wee bucket.
Anyway, you have to go up and help him. You promised to help him.
No, I was only kind of joking. I would run on mine.
You're not doing your acts of kindness anymore?
No, that's it.
That was just 1 month.
That was only for 30 days. I'm back to myself now. It's all me, Fian.
Cool. All right then. Thanks, Lee. Have a good day.
You have a good day
tomorrow. Right, it is 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update. We'll go over now to Donald Kavanagh. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Noreen McHugh, the wife of Donegal All-Star James McHugh, has died from the injuries she sustained in a road crash which killed her husband. She was initially airlifted to Beaumont Hospital in Dublin following the collision between the car that James was driving and a van in Cavan on Monday afternoon. The All-Ireland winning footballer was killed outright in the crash. Noreen was pronounced dead last evening. Road users are being advised to avoid the Lickey Road in Derry this morning. That's as a result of debris on fire in the area. That's causing a road blockage for now. The PSNI urging people to make alternative arrangements. Over 182,000 customers are behind on their energy bills by more than 3 months, according to new figures from the CRU. A total of 328,000 households now behind on their electricity payments. Jessica Woodlock has more.
328,000 customers are behind on their electricity bills, while nearly 189,000 are behind on gas. The data shows most people owe €515 for electricity and around €223 for gas. The latest figures capture the state of affairs for May, ahead of subsequent price increases by a range of providers. Meanwhile, from the 1st of October, new charges for the national grid come into effect, raising the price households will pay for network fees.
138 sites in Ireland have received green flag status for parks and green spaces this year. The awards recognise spaces that meet standards around management, accessibility, safety and environmental sustainability. Flags have been awarded by Glenveigh National Park, Glebe House and Gallery and Barrack Hill Park in Carndonagh, while a Green Flag Community Award has been secured by the Riverwalk in Dunloe. An Taisce's programme manager Emmeline Cullen says the increase in the number of flags in Ireland reflects growing participation in the programme.
One local authority might see other local authorities getting a number of their parks in and that kind of giving them the impetus to go for it. But also over the last couple of years we've had funding. So with that funding, I suppose we've been able to put more resources into the programme, been able to promote it more and it's given us the capacity to grow. And I suppose over the last few years it's gone a bit, and then this year, we've seen it take off more, so we're kind of reaping the rewards of that now.
And we'll get a chance to witness a rare partial total eclipse of the sun in Ireland this evening. Another won't be expected here until 2090. The moon will begin moving across the sun shortly after 6 this evening. Maximum coverage just after 7. Between 94 and 98% of the sun is expected to be obscured. The best views in Donegal will be in the west of the county. Dr. Emma Whelan, an Associate Professor of Physics at Munich University, has this advice for people that don't have specialist glasses.
The best thing to do is to make a projected image of the sun. You just need 2 pieces of cardboard or a shoebox. You make a tiny pinhole in one piece. You hold this this up to the sun, and this projects an image of the sun onto the other piece of cardboard, and you can watch then how that image changes as the moon moves across the surface of the sun.
And weather forecast warm but mostly cloudy to begin today. Some showery rain moving up from the south this morning. That'll ease in the afternoon with hazy sunny spells developing later. Top temperatures 21 to 25 degrees Celsius. That's Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
Enjoy 2 years of 3 5G home broadband from only €25 a month. Just plug in your router and you're good to go. Switch in store today or visit 3.ie. From €25 per month for eligible 3 customers. Subject to coverage, minimum term, direct debit and annual price increase. 5G subject to location, availability and device. Speeds may vary. See 3.ie.
Unbelievable. The talk of the Northwest. The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9 for this Wednesday, the 12th of August 2026. How are you keeping today? We're good here. Everyone seems to be in reasonable form. I think the dry, warmer mornings do help. So I hope it's the same wherever you're listening across the Northwest, or wherever, in fact. We've got people listening in, tuning in all around the world, and it's great to have you on board. Say hello. You can, of course, WhatsApp and text us on 086 60 25,000. If you're outside Ireland, the Republic that is, it's 0035386 60 25,000. Give us a call if you prefer, 07491 25,000. The emails work really well too. Comments at highlandradio.com. And if you want to watch the show, as always, get on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. You can watch us there on your mobile devices, but also your smart TV and your Fire Stick. And we're also across Facebook and on the X platform. So no excuses. Lots coming up on the programme, as always, today. But there's always space for what you want to talk about, personal to you or your area. If there's an issue you want to raise with us, use those numbers. Let's start with the papers today, and the Finn Valley Voice talks of profound sadness at the death of All-Ireland hero James McHugh. Tributes have poured in following the death of All-Ireland hero James McHugh in a road traffic collision in County Cavan on Monday. James McHugh was a starter on the first Donegal team to win an All-Ireland Senior Football Championship title in 1992, and of course, we started the tributes yesterday morning from 9 a.m. and they poured in throughout the day. Such was the impact that James had on the sporting community, both at a county level but a national level, at club level, of course, but also just for being the man that he was. But then we learned of the incredible tragic news. We know his wife, Noreen, had been seriously injured in that collision and had been airlifted to hospital in Dublin. And we learned, as I say, last evening that very sadly that she succumbed to her injuries and passed away. And my understanding is they'll be laid to rest together. It's an incredible double tragedy. One might take comfort from the fact that a couple that thought so much of each other are reunited again so quickly, but that doesn't take away the immediate loss here on earth and in everyday life. And again, what can you say? Our thoughts, prayers and sympathies are with all the McHughes, their families and friends, and I suppose the wide community. Such was the reach of both of them. And we'll be talking about that further shortly. Moving on to the Nationals now, we'll go to the Irish Independent, and Uisce Éireann has said an extension of the hosepipe ban beyond August 26th may have to be considered, with regional measures also under review. And let's call it as it is. There's been no meaningful rain since that ban was introduced. Demand might drop as we head towards the end of the summer, but the reality is that we're not going to see any meaningful rain between now and then, so I think people are going to have to continue to, and they call it a hosepipe ban. I think really what we're doing is we're conserving water. We're trying to do our best, aren't we? Where we don't need to use water, we're not. So that's really what a hosepipe ban is. It's not like we're all filling our 50-metre swimming pools. We're just a bit more mindful about watering plants and lawns and washing cars. Well, Head of Water Operations Margaret Ultridge said the ban could potentially be extended, noting the recent rainfall in parts of the northwest had made conditions there more stable, which is encouraging for us. But again, I would be reluctant to be too optimistic. She said a regional water conservation underway was possible and that all supplies were being monitored with any lifting dependent on factors including the weather forecast and soil moisture deficit. But of course, demand is a critical part of that whole conversation as well. Not fantastic news for you if you have students and they're heading down south and will be on campus accommodation, because the Times tells us on-campus accommodation prices are set to rise again for the coming academic year across the majority of the Republic's leading universities, as several colleges raise prices by the maximum amount permissible. Under residential laws, there is a 2% cap on price year on year. University of Galway and Maynooth University increased on-campus rent by close to this limit for 26-27. At the University of Galway, the cheapest option is a single bed in a twin room at €3,316, up 1.78% compared to last year. Sorry, is that €3,316? How regularly do you have to pay that? Is that monthly? At the University of Galway, the cheapest... Well, this is why I'm so pleased my two eldest didn't go to college. The University of Galway, single bed in a twin room, $3,316, up 1.78% compared to last year. Its dearest option is a double plus ensuite in Dublin Village, up 1.98% to $8,086 for the academic year. Okay, I can live with that. That's understandable there now. It's still very, very high, but okay, this is for the academic year. Maynooth University raised its on-campus accommodation by 1.99%, pushing its cheapest and most expensive options up to $4,856 and $6,480 for the year, respectively. So if you can get on campus, then does that represent good or bad value? Again, I don't know. The reality is that we're looking, or the oil industry is looking at alternatives to using the Strait of Hormuz. That's going to take a while, but as we speak, pipelines are being built, new deals are being struck. So next year, the year after, whilst it's difficult to look that far ahead, we're going to become less and less reliant on the Strait of Hormuz, which means is the Iranian sort of stranglehold on that route lessens, because it can't go on in perpetuity. So as we speak right now, different markets are being looked at, pipelines are being laid with a view to not needing to use this strait. But at the moment, it is still critically important. Donald Trump and the Iranians can't come to any agreement, so that means prices are going up. And I'm reading from the Irish Daily Mail, rocketing fuel prices are putting the government under severe pressure not to reverse the recent fuel duty cuts, and I suspect they won't. The cuts, which shaved 32 cents off a litre of diesel and 27 cents off petrol, were brought in after mass protests by farmers and hauliers shut the capital and caused traffic chaos around the country in April. But the fuel prices are spiking again as Iran has restricted traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. A phased restoration of duties set to begin on September 1st would send both diesel and petrol to well above €2 a litre, the price which sparked the protests. The only thing is that, and the government's quite silent on this, and they're waiting perhaps to closer to the time, they are still increasing their revenue from fuel. They have the headspace to retain these cuts, and I would be incredibly surprised if they didn't extend them to January, closer to the time. So we shall wait and see, but obviously, you know, we're still going to talk about it. People are going to make their calls, but I'd be flabbergasted if they did reintroduce the higher rates of excise from September 1st. It's just a case of when they might announce a deferral. I wasn't a huge fan of The Office, but I would have watched it, and I'd have been familiar with Lucy Davis, and she played a lovely character, and she's been in other shows as well. And she's a really young woman, but she has been diagnosed with incurable cancer. And I'm reading this just in case it happens to fall on the ears of someone who has a niggle, maybe a small lump in the breast, nothing too large, maybe a little hard nodule, and are ignoring it or putting it down to something else rather than going to get it checked. And it is always better to go and get it checked, because there's two options. If you go as soon as you discover something, A, it's likely that whatever it is caught early, and that means it can be treated most effectively. Or B, you're told it's nothing, it's benign. delaying it achieves nothing. It only extends the anxiety of wondering if it's something serious, which makes no sense, or B, it allows this awful disease of cancer potentially to further encroach into your body. So that is why I'm reading this story. That's why she's speaking out with a view potentially to help other people. The Office star Lucy Davies has revealed she has terminal breast cancer, but says she's determined to spend whatever time she's left laughing. The actress, just 53 and daughter of comedian Jasper Carrott, was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer 18 months ago after it spread to her spine, ribs and hip. It is incurable and too late for chemo. But Lucy is at peace with her prognosis. Best known for Dawn Tinsley in Ricky Gervais's hit sitcom The Office, the star shared the devastating news in an emotional Instagram post alongside a video of herself ringing the treatment bell. The Wonder Woman actress said the humour has helped her cope with the devastating news. She also asked friends and family to make fun of me as much as possible and begged them not to treat her like a sick person. The brave actress added, I'm not scared of whatever comes next. I'm at peace with it. As of now, I'm trying to live out whatever might be left of my life in as fun a way as is possible. So she did find a little nodule and went and got it checked, but at that point the cancer had spread. So, as I say, just maybe reading that might trigger one person to go, right, okay, I'm going to do that today. The Irish Daily Mirror, Dahi O'Shea, has said there is no place for racist abuse in the Rose of Tralee and that it totally goes against the spirit of the festival. Earlier this year, Dublin Rose Suad Moog from Tala was targeted by vile trolls because of her Somali heritage after winning the selection to represent her county. Swad said she was shocked but not surprised by the abuse, but has received so much positivity since sharing her story. Rose of Tralee presenter Dahi has now spoken of how proud he is of her resilience and said such negativity is not acceptable within the festival. And of course it's not. But let's put it into perspective as well. This is sad. Ultimately, that lady should never receive any abuse. It is horrendous. And there is no level of abuse which is acceptable. And what I'm about to say now is actually not going to take away any of what she might have felt. But there are people who are online and will say anything, and it's anonymous and they can say whatever they like and they can get a reaction. All I know is there's not a single person in my life or who has ever been in my life that I think would go online and say anything to hurt that woman's feelings or to target her because of her race. And I would say that's true of the majority of people out there. What we need to do is find a way to stop a tiny minority of horrible people that actually just want to feel power because they're generally weak and they're trying to exercise a strength in being nasty to other people, find a way of discouraging them. And finally, potentially, for those of you in flood zones through no fault of your own, there might be some good news because the government has vowed to help households and businesses get better access to flood insurance. A new working group chaired by former Secretary General of the Department of Health, Jim Breslin, will bring together government departments, agencies, insurers and other key stakeholders to examine ways of supporting those most at risk. Taoiseach Simon Harris said, 1 year on from launching the active plan for insurance reform, we're seeing real progress across a broad programme of reforms that are helping to create a more competitive, transparent insurance market. But as I say, they're working on insurance cover. Something may never come of it, or it may. And as I say, I know there's many of you listening who perhaps trusted the planning system to think that you were safe to build where you were, but now you can't get insurance because there is a flood risk, or maybe changes were made in your vicinity that created this flood risk. So that could be potentially good news. It could be some way away. I just don't know. Here's how you get in contact with the programme.
The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio. Text WhatsApp 086 60 25000. Call 074 91 25000 or email comments@highlandradio.com.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
The Greg Hughes Show with R. McCullough Jewelers, Main Street, Letterkenny. Don't miss their wedding and engagement weekend on the 14th, 15th and 16th of August with free bespoke ring consultations, jewellery health checks and complimentary ring cleaning. Visit rmccullough.com.
Great news for furniture buyers. The Cooney's Home Interiors closing down sale has been continued. With so much stock still available, they've made further reductions on the remaining stock for immediate clearance. The closing down sale at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park. Don't miss out.
Looking for a course to study in September? Discover CAFRE, the College of Agriculture, Food and Rural Enterprise, Northern Ireland's specialist agri-food and land-based college. Study agriculture, food, horticulture, equine, floristry, veterinary nursing and land-based engineering. With 3 campuses at Greenmount in Antrim, Loughery in Cookstown and Enniskillen. We've a range of courses available from level 2 through to master's degree. Visit cafre.ac.uk to find out more.
Arena 7 Entertainment Complex Letterkenny is the ultimate family entertainment venue. Enjoy bowling, laser quest, soft play centre, a game of pool or the arcade before grabbing a bite in our fast food diner or family friendly restaurant. Check out arena7.ie today.
At Zurich, we don't just insure cars, we insure the epic road trips. And the grocery runs.
Don't forget the milk!
We don't just insure homes, we insure dinner parties. And even the dishwasher disputes.
Who put the plates in like this?
For 75 years, Zurich has been protecting the moments that matter most. So whether you're at home or on the road, choose Zurich for your car and home insurance. Visit zurich.ie and protect your world today. Zurich Insurance Europe AG is authorised by the Federal Financial Supervisory Authority, BaFin, in Germany and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for consumer protection rules.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time 20 minutes past 9. As I mentioned a little earlier, we were very saddened to learn that the wife of Donegal football star James McHugh died just hours after her husband, or has died, confirmed that she had passed away last evening. Both were involved in a road traffic collision between a car and a van near Virginia in County Cavan on Monday night. The parish priest of Kilcar is Father William Peoples, and he joins us now. And we were hoping and praying that Noreen would survive her injuries. But unfortunately, Father, we learned last evening that was not the case. And it's just incredibly, incredibly sad, isn't it?
It is. Because, you know, whenever a death happens in a household, especially for, like, their son and daughter, Emma and Owen, they live with the hope, as we all do, that the mother would come out of this eventually and recover. But it has just been a darkness, really, to have heard. I was numb-struck myself when I heard that Noreen had died as well. And it's that, I mean, the whole community is devastated, really, by that type of loss.
Of course, and we're thinking very much on Emma and Owen this morning and the wider McHugh family, and as I said earlier, the wider community, because no more than James was heavily involved in Kilcar GEA and other local endeavours as well. Noreen is secretary of the local national school, and her involvement in other activity too, such an important part of the local community.
Yeah, Noreen, I came here 5 years ago, and Noreen's secretary of our local national school, and from time to time I had to depend on her to do certain things for her, along with my own secretary as well. School Carth and Nifa is the name of her school. And what I liked about Noreen is that, you know, nothing was too much of a task, and she had a lovely calmness about her. Nothing would have upset her about the situation. Regarding, let it be the children and liturgies or masses in the church or whatever, and very, very willing lady to cooperate with anything you wanted. And James was the same. I mean, both of them, I knew them, and both of them had to me, they had very similar personality, and they were made for each other. They went out with each other a long time, and then in more recent times then, with their daughter getting married, it was such a day of joy, really, and now everything seems so dark, unfortunately.
How do you, Father, help people to sort of process and deal with such a sudden loss? You know, people in the community that would have been familiar with them. You know, there's a trauma there, isn't there, with this type of an incident?
Yeah, excuse me. Well, I mean, like, a trauma like this is really, I suppose, exaggerated more into what death can be like, with both having passed on. Dealing with people and helping people along the way, I think no priest can give anything more than hope. And it's over a process of time, Greg. It doesn't just, it's not something that I or any other priest or any person, any lay person, can achieve just in a day or two. Because I like to give people who are bereaved time to process all of this, and over a period of time to give hope, really. And it has an awful lot to do, like the link there is their faith. Yeah. And once that belief is there, which is set into the hearts of all family O'Donnell and McHugh and local community here too, that's all we're left with. Just hope that, sadly 2 people are gone in one manner, and then it's my role as a priest and all of us in our community, a Christian community, to try and, I suppose, give encouragement that they live on in a different way than us, and we depend on that. And that in itself, that gives a little glimmer of light into a dark situation like this.
It is, and we often feel it too. People might go, well, how do I know? I personally did with the loss of my parents, and I speak to others. You do get a sense of a continuance of them, but just in a different way. And as you says, time and process. There is a process to grieve.
Oh, there is. Yeah.
And that might break it down to something clinical, but it's a human process.
Of course.
Yeah.
I suppose at the end, if there are different moments when things will become, personality will be affected. Either there may be a depression there may be a denial there. I'm not saying this.
No, we're speaking broadly speaking. We're speaking,
case, but people. I lost members of my family, and I remember I went through different stages over a period of a year. Before I could finally accept, and you have to come eventually to acceptance. And when that acceptance comes, it strengthens. But it has a huge, Greg, it has a huge need for faith at a time like this. And they were a couple, like faith to them was very important, as is in a very traditional community like Kilcar.
Yes, and I was trying to articulate it a little earlier on, and it's difficult to for other people's. But there are potentially those that might find comfort in that. That whilst we hoped and prayed that Noreen would make a full and speedy recovery, that in a way they are together, and they're going to be buried on the same day too again, which is a awful situation.
So, I mean, like Noreen, and as I say, I knew them quite well, but like people that would have known James and Noreen and the O'Donnell family, that would have known them quite well, like they were together from the time they were doing their leaving cert in Carrick Tech, and like they were made for each other. And yeah, of course, we all wanted, especially their children, we all wanted to hope that Noreen would have come through all of this, but it's not what happened. But I suppose the only thing I can say to it is that James and Noreen are together, walking towards God in whatever way that happens.
Yes, and of course...
it might give some sort of
comfort,
spark of hope to anybody who has lost their loved ones anywhere, and we've had quite a few deaths in the parish recently.
Of course. And Father, obviously, our thoughts are too with the emergency service and perhaps a local parish priest of that area who are often or always, called to the scenes of these collisions, and we have to keep them in our prayers as well, because they're not unaffected by
because,
this.
I mean, I suppose over the years I've been ordained. I mean, I always feel in one way, am I equipped enough, even as a priest, to help and to deal, and that I deal with it right and whatever. We're always, any human being feels that way, But when you see the outpouring of people, especially in a country like Ireland, where the wakes are still the traditional event happening, and the amount of people that want to be part of that, everybody wants to give their little moment of sorrow to a bereaved family, and that in itself speaks volumes. That at least it shows that people have got good heart, and that they want to do something that'll ease the burden, whatever way that might happen. And it's the very same for priests as well. We can only give but our best in what we're able to do, but we tend to forget that families do appreciate that as well,
Okay, and Father, we're thinking on you too, keeping you in our thoughts and prayers as well over the next few days. Thank you so much.
You're very kind in saying that. Thanks, Greg.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, good luck to you now. Bye.
Good luck. Father William Peoples there, the parish priest in Kilcar.
The Greg Hughes Show is proudly sponsored by Armacolla Jewelers, Letterkenny. Planning to pop the question? Visit their wedding and engagement weekend, 14th to the 16th of August, for bespoke ring design consultations, free jewellery health checks and complimentary ring cleaning. Armacolla.com.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, supporting you with the right footwear. Hoka trainers provide comfort, support and shock absorption, which makes them a good choice for frequent runners and walkers, or anyone whose job requires them to stand for the majority of the day. If you need a neutral trainer, try the new Hoka Clifton 11. For maximum cushioning, try Hoka Bondi. Check in store or shop online at bmcsports.ie. Step into our safe size experience. Get the right fit for you at Brian McCormick Sports.
Make 2026 the year you reduce your energy bills for good, and Efficient Renewables will guide you through the entire process, from SEAI grant applications to installation. And with our new Efficient Care Plus aftercare service, we're with you every step of the way. With new finance options now available, the upfront cost of switching to solar or upgrading your heating system no longer has to hold you back. Call 074 9708 320 or drop into our showroom in Newton Cunningham and see how much you can save.
Experience excitement thousands of years in the making and create memories to last a lifetime. National Heritage Week is hundreds of events all over Ireland, exploring the surprise and wonder that is our natural, built and cultural heritage. Find out what's going on from August 15th to the 23rd at heritageweek.ie. National Heritage Week is a programme of the Heritage Council, supported by the Kangal Local Authority Heritage Programme and the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
Step inside your dream wedding at the Villa Rose Hotel and Spa in Ballybuffet on Monday, August 31st. Join us from 1 to 4 p.m. for our wedding showcase. Explore the beautifully styled Capri Suite, meet our expert wedding team and get inspired for your perfect day. Villa Rose Hotel and Spa, where your dream wedding begins.
Men, if you have a wedding or prom this summer or just need to update your wardrobe, check out the savings in the big sale at Watson Menswear, with selected suits and blazers half price. In a great suits deal, you can get a 3-piece suit, shirt, tie and shoes, all for just €299. Also, dress shirts, €35 or 2 for €60. And great savings in casual wear in the big summer sale. Now on at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Welcome back. Now, funny enough, we were discussing this in the office a few months ago, and it's good to see it on the agenda now, and that is calls for a new dental school to be established here in the Northwest. And when we say the Northwest, why not the ATU in Letterkenny? Deputy Charles Ward of the 100% Redress Party joins us. Good morning to you, Deputy.
Morning, Greg. I'd just like to say, send my condolences to James and Noreen McHugh's family, and I've met Emma a few times and Owen, and my thoughts and prayers are with them today, so I'd just like to say, just thinking about them.
Yeah, for sure, as we all are, Charles. You are on board, and Dr. Jared Rorty's with us as well, of course, who is a dentist. Good morning to you, Jared. Good to chat to you again. Jared?
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning. Stay where you are, Jared. So, Deputy Ward, what plans would you like to see progressed here?
I think this is an ideal opportunity, because looking at this, I've spoken a motion putting the dollar in early July regarding dental treatment in Ireland. And if you're looking at it, if you're going to train to be a dentist, you've got two choices. You've got Cork or Trinity. And that, to me, just speaks that there is a call for a dentist school to be established in the Northwest. And I had said it back there in early July that I believe that the ATU is the ideal situation. It's a growing university. It has the capability to do this, and I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I mean, it's off the back of, the difficulty in adults accessing dental care, but also to the shambles that is the care of children's teeth and access to early checks and interventions there. It's easier for a parent to get a child's tooth extracted than it is to get their teeth checked for fillings.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I'm a father of four, and only one of my children have actually availed of that service. For the rest, we've had to push, and I've actually had to go private with one of my other children. So out of a family of four, and we're talking over a 10, 15-year period, only one of my children have availed of after school, a school-based dentist. So it goes to show you how the system has failed and is failing. And it's nothing to do with the dentist, it's to do with the actual system itself.
Dr. Jared Rorty, dentist at DM at Rorty in Bunbeg. I suppose, do we have, before you sort of get into the positives of this development would bring, do we have a sort of a campaign template there from the successful campaign you were involved in getting a veterinary school into the Northwest? If we can do it for animals, why not for our teeth?
Well, congratulations to Charles for bringing it up. But funny, I haven't actually talked to Charles on this issue, but I had long conversations with Pat the Cope Gallagher and Charlie McConnell about a new dental school for the Northwest. Fianna Fáil are massively supportive. I've been talking to Senator Manus Boyle, Fine Gael, who are massively supportive, and also Pierce Doherty, who's beside us here in our practice in Bunbeg, and Padre McLaughlin. So they all get it, that because ATU showed their ability to deliver for what is going to be a real challenge, a veterinary college in the Northwest at ATU, that the next dental school that is planned should be coming to ATU. Now, there's kind of runners and riders in the game. So the new RCSI college is going to open in the next 2
Jared,
years.
could I just, if you are on speakerphone, ask you just to lift the handset, because
Sorry.
It just
2 seconds, Greg. So just quickly recapitulate on this. Yeah, definitely ATU should be running the new dental school. And I haven't talked to Charles on it, but I talked to Pat the Cope Gallagher, Charlie McConnell, very supportive about the proposal. Senator Manus Boyle, Fine Gael, very supportive. Pierce Doherty, TD, who's beside us here in the practice in Bunbeg, very supportive, as is Patrick McLaughlin. So there is going to be a new dental school. There's going to be one actually open very shortly, the RCSI one, but we still need an additional one. Why do we need an additional one? The population is expanding rapidly, but much more than that. The refugees who are coming in have a much, much poorer quality of dental health than Irish people, because they don't have the benefit of fluoridation. People are living longer, people are holding on to their teeth. So even though we have 3,900 dentists on the register, over 40% of them are trained overseas. And it's the same as, I'm on record on saying this about the medics before. We shouldn't be robbing dentists from other countries the same way we rob doctors. We need to train our own. And there, as I said, there's a need for a new dental school. I think ATU would be a fantastic place. I'm open to McGee as well, but I think being from Donegal, ATU would be the place. So going back to, the campaign, there's a campaign within the dental profession for yet another dental school. Galway's thrown their hat in, McGee's thrown their hat in. With the encouragement of the politicians for Donegal, given ATU's pedigree on the vet school, there's no reason why it can't come to ATU.
Yeah, but that work is ongoing from now, really, isn't it? I mean, we need to be very coordinated and very well planned in it, because other schools, other colleges, other campuses will be. So this is not something that we can wait a week before a decision is made. The tough work needs to be done now, I presume, Jared.
Well, I think the tough work has been done by ATU. I have no connections to ATU, but the tough work has been done by them in their development and their health sciences faculty over the last year. So they have taken themselves to a stage where they're now recognised as an equal with UCD, Trinity, UCG, Galway, or so on. And the way Charlie McConnell's intervention as Minister for Agriculture, bringing the faculty of veterinary medicine to Donegal as opposed to Limerick, shows that it ultimately will be a political decision. So in other words, you'll have rudders and riders, you'll have different hats going into the ring, and it'll be the politicians on the ground in Donegal who will be able to deliver this for us. And as I said, they delivered it for us in terms of the vet school. I've no doubt they can't deliver for the dental faculty. And I just keep saying, our kids do not have to and shouldn't have to be travelling off to Dublin if they want to do dentistry, where they're going to pay extortionate rates. The other benefit, and it's a tremendous benefit, if you have a dental faculty located in Donegal, you have a maxillofacial service. So at the moment, so what's a maxillofacial service? A maxillofacial service is where we look after somebody with complex injuries to their jaws or their teeth. Every Sunday, because we've have so many gifted sports persons, we'll always have somebody with an injury to the maxilla or the mandible or some of the teeth, and they'll need complex maxillofacial surgery. The only place they can avail of that is in Galway. If we had a dental faculty in UCD or of the calibre of UCD located for ATU, we would then have the personnel who would be able to help out at Letterkenny University Hospital and deliver that locally. I mean, it's something that just blows my mind away that anybody with needing maxillofacial work now has to be put in an ambulance the whole way down to Galway. And it could and should be delivered locally. I've talked to different people about that, and what they throw back at me, and they say to me, well, where are you going to get the maxillofacial surgeons? We don't have any up here. And then I thought to myself, well, do you know what? If we had a dental faculty in ATU, those guys would be based there. And as I say, as happens in every line of work, they would work then in the local university hospital.
Yeah, okay, so the arguments for it obviously are very, very strong. Charles, hopefully there is, and I don't see why there wouldn't be, political unity in trying to get this over the line and backing ATU in any endeavours it might have.
Well, I think it's vital that, once again, much like the hospital, Letterkenny Hospital and the hub situation where we all pulled together, we pulled together on this too, and we get it over the line. I think it's very important for the development of Donegal moving forward that we look at this and that we start to work together and bring this in and deliver a dental school for the Northwest.
Okay. Both of you, thank you very much indeed. Dr. Jared Rorty, who's a dentist at D. Emmett Rorty in Bumbeg, and Deputy Charles Ward, 100% redress. And hopefully, and I remember the first conversations we had about the establishment of a veterinary school at ATU, and it seemed like something that was almost unachievable or a million miles away, and yet here we are on the brink of one being open. So who's to say we can't achieve the same with a dental courses, etc. On the roads, the lights on the Castlefin Bridge are still out. It's only working on one side. It's dangerous. As that comes up, is that the same lights that there are issues with time and time again? I wonder. I'm not really quite sure, but it does seem to come up more often than not. Wait till I tell you, Greg, if you have money, there's no problem getting a dentist. But if you don't have money, you'll have no teeth in older life for sure. One set of false teeth in every 5 years is a complete joke. Listen, I get you. And that's why we're talking about this now. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be about money. There shouldn't be a two-tier system where, you or your children have good teeth because of access to dental care, when we have a scheme in place to look at our children's teeth, but it simply is not functioning. On the issue of the clips, Greg, I was going to take the kids to experience the clips this evening. Is there any spot in Donegal that we could do that? Well, it's everywhere, isn't it? I don't know. I'll throw it out to the wider audience. I can't think of a specific place in Donegal. I presume the further west you are, the better. But it depends on cloud cover, and we can't predict that specifically at this point. Or maybe you can. I don't know. I wouldn't trust it in any case. So, listen, maybe is there a specific place that a parent could take the kids to experience the eclipse this evening, preferably in Donegal? I'll throw it out there.
The Greg Hughes Show, sponsored by McCullough Jewelers, Main Street, Letterkenny. Discover your perfect engagement or wedding ring at their wedding and engagement weekend, 14th, 15th and 16th of August. Appointments recommended. Find out more at ormccullough.com.
Oakfest is back and bigger than ever at Oakfield Park, with 2 very different lineups over 2 days on 2 stages. Saturday includes the Boomtown Rats, the Stunning and Super Cayley. Then on Sunday, it's Legends Reimagined, with tribute acts to Bon Jovi, Daft Punk, Elvis and others. With more food, more bars and more family entertainment, get the best value tickets early for Oakfest on Saturday the 5th and Sunday the 6th of September. Shuttle buses from Letterkenny with a pickup in Rafo. See oakfieldpark.com.
Sometimes it's not the driver that chooses the car. It's the car that chooses the driver. A connection beyond reason. Perhaps it's the Cupra Fermentor or Terramar Tribe editions, featuring distinctive design upgrades, exclusive matte color options, and irresistible plug-in hybrid performance. Or discover a new kind of power with the all-electric Cupra Born or Tavascan. See our latest offers, including our 5-year warranty at Cupra.com. Cupra. It's waiting for you. Terms and conditions apply.
Your local Cupra dealer is DMG Motors, Clara Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721
Skechers is your go-to destination for back-to-school shopping. Treat your kids to trendy, comfy styles, from light-up shoes, athletic footwear to cool casuals. With easy closures, hands-free slip-ins and machine-washable designs, they're perfect for school, play and beyond. Fun and functional, cute and comfy. Find it all at Skechers, Letterkenny Retail Park.
This summer, head to the Townhouse Bar on Lower Main Street, Letterkenny. Catch all the live sport on the big screens, enjoy regular live music, and soak up the great atmosphere. Freshly transformed and ready to welcome you. The Townhouse Bar, Letterkenny. Come see for yourself.
Outsurance could help you save in your car insurance, like Toulouse from Kildare.
It's true. I saved €276 on my Renault Capture when I made the switch.
That's great.
So great that I now insure my lovely home with Outsurance too.
Home insurance too. Happy days. For a competitive car insurance quote, call 1-800-600-400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison in November 2025 for a 32-year-old who received a gratuity for their participation. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Outsurance stack trading as Outsurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Get back to school sorted with our collection of school uniforms, shoes and accessories. Visit our kids department in-store or discover our back to school shop online at mcelhenneys.com.
Right, so warm today. It'll be mostly cloudy to begin with showery rain moving up from the south this morning, easing this afternoon with hazy, sunny spells developing. Highest temperatures of around about 23 degrees across here in the northwest. Right, let's say good morning to Noel Baker, investigative reporter with the journal.ie. Good morning to you.
How are you?
Good, thank you so much for joining us. Right, now, you and the team have been investigating suspected poisonings involving synthetic drugs. So, what triggered the investigation?
Actually, I was having an interview with the now president of the Irish Medical Organisation back in, I think it was March or April. It was in relation to a piece he did about violence in hospitals. And at that stage, Professor Matthew Sadlier mentioned that where he works in the Mater in Dublin City Centre, he would have noted that there would have been an increase in the number of people presenting in an agitated, maybe sometimes psychotic state, like clearly intoxicated. But then when you actually run the typical screening tests to find out what they might have consumed, it came up clear. So you end up then treating the symptoms when not knowing exactly the reason behind it, which is obviously difficult from a medical point of view. So we just decided to have a look at that and have a bit more of a deeper dive into it. And we, obviously the Health Research Board charts these things. It would have seen a 50% increase last year in the demand for treatment for new psychoactive substances. And then we looked further into the poisoning data and how these things are materializing on the street and what happens potentially when you take them.
Okay, so when we talk about synthetic drugs, what names do they have?
Oh, a myriad number of names.
Right? Okay.
I mean, what we're talking about here is drugs that are either created wholesale or in the semi-synthetic situation, they're kind of altered or there's other things sprayed onto existing drugs in a laboratory. So you can have ever-changing chemical compounds. These things mimic the effects of or seek to mimic the effects of cannabis, cocaine, MDMA. People will be familiar maybe with HHC, goes under a number of different names in recent years. That was only made illegal in July of last year. I think there's an acceptance that that was too late in relation to its prescription. But, you know, people will be familiar with things like pink cocaine and things like that that are floating around. But the point, I guess, is that even if it's undergoing certain brand names, for want of a better term, when somebody's acquiring these, they don't know for sure, is it what it says it is? They don't know what the level of potency is in that drug. And they also can't really vouch for the effects of it. And you might say, well, hasn't that been the story of drug consumption forever and a day? You could say that's true, but the provenance of these things, it can be a mix of different substances. You could be sold one thing and it actually turns out to be something else entirely. You're not expecting the effects that happens, or they could be really amplified in relation to what you might be expecting.
And of course, until we sort of understand and therefore we can tailor our analysis, we don't necessarily know, do we, how extensive the use of these drugs are?
I guess that's true. Like we'll all remember the head shop era, which was a pretty wild time, I think, in Irish recent history. And arising out of that, obviously, we had a clampdown on, you know, hatches and retail points in urban areas and around the country. Obviously, the channels by which people access these things, it's the good old-fashioned channels, you know, where people will get drugs always. But I suppose there's now the internet dimension. There's, you know, one local drugs task force in Dublin would have told us that they would have heard anecdotally of people buying things online or on the dark net. But also, I think it goes back to the fact that even if it's simply mimicking the effects of something, or it's a derivative of a pre-existing synthetic drug, it's constantly being altered. So you're never 100% sure what that alteration could do. And that presents challenges, I suppose, not just from a criminal justice point of view, but also clearly from a medical and psychiatric point of view, because the effects of these things can be quite dramatic.
I've sat in this chair and watched over time as, you know, drug driving detections seem to have overtaken drink driving detections. How nuanced, I wonder, are those tests? Like, has your investigation found that maybe some of these roadside tests just in that one area of road safety might not always pick up being under the influence of some of these drugs?
That is a good question, and I can't answer for that because that wasn't a component in this. I suppose the Medical Bureau of Road Safety would be the people ultimately who probably analyse the results of various incidents or crashes that take place. I think it's probably fair to say, as to your broader point, look, there's an argument that drug use has been regularized or normalized rather in this country. You know, I mean, you only have to look at the statistics in relation to regular use of cocaine, for example. I mean, that's dramatically increased in the last 10, 15 years compared to where it was previously. So with all drugs potentially becoming more normalized or the taking of them becoming slightly more normalized, then you have the variety of ways in which you can get them. And then you have these new substances, or some vaguely new, slightly new, updated substances coming on board. It is, I don't know, I don't want to be too dramatic here, but it's kind of like there's so many different options, and maybe in terms of treatment and law enforcement, etc., it could be a bit whack-a-mole. There's always something else popping up. And that goes back to the point that I suppose some of the people would have made to me in the context of this. Number one, you need to be very front-footed and proactive rather than reactive in charting these things, catching data on them as soon as they materialize, not allowing a situation where, let's say, a degree of public health harm has occurred before you get on top of it. And then the second thing is, do we maybe have to go back to basics in relation to how we discuss drugs, particularly with children and young people? This idea that just because something was legal a year ago or 10 years ago doesn't necessarily mean it's safe. You probably need to worry or think about the physical and potential mental health difficulties that could be caused by taking them, and maybe just have a discussion about the harms that can be created as a result of taking drugs.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously there's a lot of negativity and messaging there about alcohol, which is understandable, and we are seeing a reduction in alcohol use. But drugs, you'll see it yourself when there's a story goes up about a drug seizure, people will start joking about it on the Garda page, liked and shared, with the joke being that they'll win it, or, it's glamorized in TV and movies and what have you. So there's not really as strong a counter narrative, I think, to drug use as there would be to alcohol use, for an example.
I think that's probably a fair point. I mean, Professor Ray Wally, who is obviously a very senior medic in this country, and people might recall his very prominent role as well during COVID-19, that era. I mean, his argument would be kind of, look, we've had a lot of discussion, and, it's a valid debate, because obviously other countries have gone down this road as well to a certain extent, about the legalization of certain substances, or the permitting of the use of certain substances in some cases. But, he will say, even if you were smoking cannabis regularly, you're still going to encounter the same kind of difficulties that you would have physically if you were smoking cigarettes. And are we actually discussing those real nuts and bolts elements of drug use when we're talking about drugs as a wider issue? And I suppose that's one valid point, I think. And then when you have these new substances materializing, you don't know what the quality control is, you don't know the provenance of them. In some cases, you don't know what's actually in them until it's analyzed. We have to be on our guard, I think, not just individually, but probably as a society.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Noel, thank you very much for your time. That report's available on the journal.ie website, as there is lots of other sort of investigative stuff and news generally. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's greatly appreciated.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye-bye. That's Noel Baker, investigations reporter with journal.ie. On that issue, a texter says, people are buying this and don't know what's really in it. Wow, it's almost as if this market exists no matter what you tell people, and introducing the sale and regulation would solve all those dangers while hamstringing all the criminals, almost as if a certain citizens' assembly agreed with the above. Take a certain government continues to dance around the problem. The thing is, so you could have the decriminalisation of cocaine and cannabis, but that doesn't mean, you've seen these drugs, the drugs we're talking about, you've seen the images coming out of America, San Francisco and elsewhere, where people are literally standing bent over like zombies in the street. These drugs are highly toxic, highly unpredictable. So even if you decriminalise certain drugs, there's always a limit, there's always a stronger drug, and where does it end? Where does it stop? Does anyone know where I can get glasses to watch the eclipse this evening? That's a challenge, because there's very few places that you can get them over the counter. If there are any shops there retailing these glasses, please let us know. I think really what we needed to have done is to have ordered them online, if the truth be told. Actually, I don't have time for this. I'll wait till after the 10 o'clock news, because I don't want to be rushing through your comments, because they're so important to us. And how do you get them into us? 086 60 25,000. That is the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Right, we will be back with the second hour of the programme after we take a break for the news and obituary notices.
The Greg Hughes Show with Armagh Jewelers, Main Street, Letterkenny. Don't miss their wedding and engagement weekend on the 14th, 15th and 16th of August with free bespoke ring consultations, jewellery health checks and complimentary ring cleaning. Visit armagh.com. Stand up for lazy? No, stand up for busy woman. The early mornings, the work days, the school runs, the shopping, the dinners, the never-ending to-do list. Because after all that, you've earned your lazy boy.
Reward yourself with the world-famous Lazy Boy collection at Glenkeen Furnishings. Choose from leather or fabric, manual or power recliners. Shop online at glenkeen.co.uk or visit our stores in Omagh, Derry, Londonderry and Irvinstown with free delivery and assembly throughout Northern and Southern Ireland.
Hungry for a great night out? Bring the gang to the Woodbury Grill Bar and Restaurant at Arena 7, Letterkenny. Tuck into delicious family favourites, then keep the fun going with bowling, laser quest, darts or pool. Make dinner an adventure at arena7.ie.
At Donegal Town Hardware, we have everything you need for your next DIY or building project. Now available to order: roof trusses, posy joists and septic tanks. Call in and inquire today. Plus enjoy free quotations, free local delivery and expert technical advice from our experienced team only at Donegal Town Hardware.
Nutria's Lamb Finisher ATP is now on promotion at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags and get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. Nutria's Lamb Finisher contains 16% crude protein and an ideal balance of energy and protein with intake booster for faster finish. Can be fed to both ewe and ram lambs. Contact your local Homeland store or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrias.ie for full product details.
6 chances to win in our mega summer cash draw.
€20,000 up for grabs.
We've got 5 chances to win €2,000.
And one massive €10,000.
Tickets are just €15 for one.
Or 5 for €50.
So get your tickets now at highlandradio.com.
Lines will close at 10 a.m. on Friday and reopen after the first draw.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Noreen McHugh, the wife of Donegal All-Star James McHugh, has died from the injuries she sustained in the road crash which killed her husband. She was initially airlifted to Bubban Hospital in Dublin following the collision between the car that James was driving and a van in Cavan on Monday afternoon. The All-Ireland winning footballer was pronounced dead at the scene. Noreen passed away in hospital last evening. On today's Greg Hughes Show, Kilcar Parish priest Father William Peoples reflected on the impact of this tragedy, saying Noreen, a secretary at the local primary school, and James were made for each other.
What I liked about Noreen is that nothing was too much of a task, and she had a lovely calmness about her. James was the same. I mean, both of them, I knew them, and to me they had very similar personality, and they were made for each other. They were together from the time they were doing their leaving cert in Carrick-Tech. The only thing I can say is that James and Noreen are together walking towards God in whatever way that happens.
The PSNI says the Lickey Road in Derry is now clear after debris on fire in the area earlier this morning caused a road blockage. Over 182,000 customers are behind on their energy bills by more than 3 months, according to new figures. Data from the CRU shows a total of 328,000 households now behind on their electricity payments. Jessica Woodlock has more.
328,000 customers are behind on their electricity bills, while nearly 189,000 are behind on gas. The data shows most people owe €515 for electricity and around €223 for gas. The latest figures capture the state of affairs for May, ahead of subsequent price increases by a range of providers. Meanwhile, from the 1st of October, new charges for the national grid come into effect, raising the price households will pay for network fees.
138 Irish parks and green spaces have achieved green flag status for 2026, 10 of them new additions to the programme. The awards recognise green spaces that meet international standards around management, accessibility, safety and environmental sustainability. Green flags have been secured by Glenveigh National Park, Glebe House and Gallery and Barrack Hill Park in Carndonagh, while a Green Flag Community Award has been secured by the Riverwalk in Dunlow. An Taisce's programme manager Emma Cullen says the increase in the numbers reflects growing participation in the programme and continued investment in green spaces.
One local authority might see other local authorities getting a number of their parks in and that kind of giving them the impetus to go for it. But also over the last couple of years, we've had funding. So with that funding, I suppose we've been able to put more resources into the programme, been able to promote it more, and it's given us the capacity to grow. And I suppose over the last few years, it's gone a bit, and then this year, we've seen it take off more. So we're kind of reaping the rewards of that now.
Afoila Millay says correspondence from the Department of the Economy to the Economy Committee at Stormont confirms that the ongoing higher education funding crisis is now putting the delivery of key City Deal projects, including the new School of Medicine at Magee, at risk. Sinead McLaughlin of the SDLP says it's deeply concerning for the whole of the North West region. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
The MLA has head out saying the project is not simply another capital project and is imperative to Magee's expansion, addressing workforce shortages in the health service and creating long-term economic opportunities for the region. The department has acknowledged that Ulster University is reviewing the scope and scale of the School of Medicine because of the current budget situation. Ms McLaughlin says this inevitably means delays and uncertainty for a project that local people have waited far too long to see delivered. She says the executive cannot continue to treat higher education funding as a separate issue from economic development. It comes just days after the Airdome Sports Centre project was quashed because of funding issues.
Up to 98% of the sun will be blocked out over parts of the country this evening during a rare solar eclipse. The partial eclipse will begin just before 6 p.m, reaching its maximum shortly after 7 before ending at around 8. The west and south will see the greatest coverage, while around 94% is expected in the east and north. The best views in Donegal will be in the west of the county. People are being warned not to look directly at the sun without certified eclipse glasses. Dr. Emma Whelan is an associate professor at Maynooth University.
So we'll see the moon move across the disk or the surface of the sun. A good way of putting it is that it looks like the moon is taking a bite out of the sun. So it should get noticeably darker. It may get noticeably quieter where you are. So people talk about this eerie quietness or eerie silence at the peak of an eclipse.
Warm but mostly cloudy to begin today. Some showery rain moving up from the south this morning. That'll ease as we get into the afternoon with hazy sunny spells developing later. Top temperatures today 21 to 25 degrees Celsius in a moderate southerly breeze. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. In the interim, check all today's news on highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 12th of August. The death has occurred of Vera McLaughlin, Tubin Burnfoot. Vera's remains are reposing at her home. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to St Mary's Church, Fawn, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. The Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 10 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. Parking is available in the adjacent car park of Fawn Presbyterian Church. And the death has occurred of Joseph Rodden, Raheny Dublin, formerly of Creesla, reposing at St Francis Hospice, Station Road, Raheny in Dublin, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. today, followed by removal to St Michael's Church, Creesla, arriving at approximately 8 o'clock tonight to repose overnight. Requiem Mass there tomorrow morning at 11, followed by burial in St Columba's Graveyard, Termon. Joseph's funeral mass can be viewed on mcn.live. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to St Francis Hospice in Raheny or the Mater Hospital Foundation, care of any family member or James Harkin, Funeral Director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
With Super Value's Real Rewards prices, you can now get savings on hundreds of products when you scan at the till for back to school, like fresh Irish stewing beef, €3. My What Do You Know added sugar, 1 litre, €1. Plus Hellman sauces for 30ml, 2 for €6. Download and scan your Real Rewards app for more savings. Super Value, still super, now better value. DRS applies.
You're welcome back to the programme. I just want to say a couple of hellos. Colette Cannon in Lettermack Award. Have a fabulous 50th birthday from Mary in the post office. Colette Cannon from Lettermack Award. Another birthday request for you, this time from Jimmy, Noreen, Aoife, Daniel and Anya. And Claire Laird today celebrating an 86th birthday. Have a great day from us all here, and also your great granddaughter Ayla. Now, moving on, I'm joined on the programme by Ellen O'Malley Dunlop, outgoing member of Grevio, a Council of Europe group of experts on violence against women and domestic violence. Good morning, Ellen. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg.
It's good to have you on the programme. Right, now...
Good morning to your listeners also.
Yes, indeed. Preschool children, you're of the view, are you, should be taught about issues surrounding consent. Do we have to go that far back in your view?
I think it's fundamental, actually, in terms of understanding what consent means, because consent is not just about, it's not just about sexual consent. Consent is rooted in the understanding of bodily autonomy and the ability to set and respect boundaries. So, for example, I'm not talking about sitting down small children and telling them about consent. I'm talking about ensuring that the preschool providers and us as parents, that we know about respecting the child's and teaching them how to decide what's right for them. For example,
But just in relation to that, Ellen, would at that age, would the result not be that, a 5-year-old, that granny would feel that, say, is it okay if I give you a hug? Or if she were to give her a hug, that the 4 or 5-year-old child might say, Granny, I haven't consented to that, or I didn't say yes, you must ask. This is I know, sorry, I'm going straight to worst case scenario, but as soon as you start having these conversations with innocent young children like this, those are the net results. I've seen it myself.
Well, and what's wrong with a child saying, Granny,
everything's wrong with that.
However,
everything's wrong with that, Ellen. We're going deeper and deeper to rob children of the most innocent of interaction with loved ones. Everything's wrong with it. We don't know the consequences of that by the time they reach their teen or adult years, and what that might mean to themselves and how they mix with other people.
See, I don't believe we'll say to the child, you have to ask somebody if you're given their consent. You'll say to the child, will you give Granny a high five today, or would you like to give them a hug? You're not saying to them, will you give your consent to Granny giving you a hug? So it's not as, you're not, as I say, sitting down and doing that type of thing with the child. Or you say, for example, if a preschool teacher is taking a child to the bathroom, I think it's important for the teacher to say to the child, would you like me to help you with your underwear? It's not saying, will you give me your consent? But it's laying foundations, Greg, for the complexities of what consent means at a later age. So when you get to the teenage years, you're not having to, explain absolute details about mutual respect. Like, it's not just respect for yourself, but respect for the other person as well. So you're laying foundation not only for potential victims, but for potential perpetrators. So I think that's really important. And, so when you come, as I say, to the more complex issues around consent, then the child or the young person is well prepared for that.
Yeah. Okay, as I say, I'm not picking, but in your scenario, if a child in the bathroom with their care provider and they say, do you want me to help you with that? And they say no. And the child proceeds to go on and wet themselves. Where does that leave you? Because, people are busy. The only function that childcare provider would have in that toilet is to help that child to protect its modesty and to ensure that it doesn't soil itself.
Well, we need to be able to give children the time and the time to help the child. If the child wets themselves, then they're learning something. And so this is all about building the blocks and the learning blocks. And I think that this is what we're talking about. We're talking about laying solid foundations for later on for the young person and for us as adults as well.
If you were to look at what comes from the manosphere, some documentaries I've watched in relation to this, the perpetrators or those want to circumnavigate consent. So you'll get a fella in this scenario, a teenage fella says to a girl, "Do this." She goes, "No." "Do this." She'll go, "No," and they will keep asking the question until such time as they say yes. So it's a forced consent, so to speak. In fact, it's not consent at all. I still don't understand how, starting this type of conversation so early would offset or prevent that type of thing happening.
Well, I think if you have a young child who hears and feels, because children feel before they think, really. And so if you have a child who feels that they're the adult or the person in power, because this is what we're talking about the people in power are respectful of them, then when they're older, they will be more confident to be able to stand up to the likes of somebody keeping on and saying, well, do this, and you say, no, do this, you continue to say no, and maybe that person can just move away and not give in to the whatever is being asked of them, which they do not want to do.
Mm-hmm. So, just so I'm clear, I'm just thinking of scenarios we're in the summer. So I go down to the beach, and whether you like it or not, you will see 3, 4, 5-year-old kids running around. Girls maybe just in bottoms, and sometimes completely naked. Would you be of the view that that child should have to consent to that?
Consent to not having clothes on?
Yeah, at the beach.
Well, young children don't see anything. They don't feel there's anything wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Up to a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So do you see my point? Then when you start introducing the right and wrong of a hug, it's fine in one scenario, but not in another, because it seems like it's an encroachment of innocence on the beach. But we'd be having that conversation. We'd be having that conversation about a hug.
But you're not introducing a right or wrong. You're introducing whether the child wants to do it. It's not about right or wrong. It's what if the child feels that they don't want to give somebody a hug, isn't that important that that's respected? And this is what happens with consent later on.
Yes.
I mean, when you're in a scenario and you do not want to give consent to something, you have a visceral response. And it's important that you know about those kinds of responses.
The reason why I'm teasing this out with you, Ellen, so much, and I hope you don't believe it to be disrespectful or in any way argumentative. That really is not my thing, Ellen. It's just that what I see is some of the stuff that we've done with children, much older children, I'm not sure we fully thought through the consequences. So we could be talking about maybe a lack of resilience. We could be talking about issues in terms of communication and what have you. And we probably thought at one time we were doing the right thing. I just don't understand the benefit of, say, for instance, having a conversation with a 4 or 5-year-old about whether they would want a hug or not. I don't see how we can extrapolate that putting that into their mind. Like, I was always told, if a kid hugs me, you never let go first. You wait till the kid lets go, because they probably need that contact, whilst you're just showing them a little bit of affection. They might be doing it for a different visceral meaning. And just to start interfering with that would concern me a little bit, Ellen, unless we fully know what the potential consequences of that might be.
Well, for example, if you had a child who is, and we know children have been abused and are being abused even now, which is horrendous to even think about that. So if you're working with children and they are learning that there's a different way, when somebody asks you something, and I think you're teaching them to that the difference between a good hug and what feels right. I'm not suggesting, for example, that you'd ever say a child falls that you wouldn't go and pick them up and and give them a hug, but it's about I think learning what feels right, what doesn't feel right.
I see a quote from you where you say that some children may never want to give anyone a hug. They might not necessarily want to give anyone a hug. Is part of and I'm not saying forcing hugs upon them. I'm just thinking of parents that would take words like that literally and almost just take a step back and say, whatever you want to do is you want to do. But where is the nurturing and the love and to understand and the education about, affection, and how do we know that child without intervention doesn't grow up and be incapable of a close relationship with a partner, for an example, because they never, because it was taken as granted they didn't want a hug?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know as well as I do that there are adults. My own husband went to an English boarding school, and the way in which his parents greeted him as a 7-year-old after a year was with a handshake.
Yes.
I mean, so that's at one end of the spectrum. I'm glad to say he learned to hug in the meantime. But I do think that obviously there are children on the spectrum too who don't want hugs, and that's important to think about that. But again, there are children who are being abused, and we want to make sure that they are taken care of and looked after, and that they learn what's acceptable and what's not. And it's about teaching them about their own bodies and what feels right and what doesn't feel right. My own granddaughter went through one of my granddaughters went through a time where she didn't want to give anybody a hug, and that's fine. And now she's hugging again. I mean, she's not just hugging, she's jumping at you,
Yes.
So, children go through different phases, and we must be respectful of that as well.
Sure.
That's ensuring that they know that people who are adult and are in power, that they are able to respond to the child where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this is a call coming from, is it the Grevio or Grevio group? That's
Grevio.
That's a call coming from that group, which you're an outgoing member of, yeah? Or is this your views?
Grevio is just a makey up word, actually, Greg. It means a group of experts on violence against women, and Ireland has had a seat on it. I was the representative for the last 4 years, and Ireland has ratified what's called the Istanbul Convention, which is the Convention on the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence. So the work of Grevio is to evaluate countries on how they are implementing that convention. So, and I'm glad to say that while I'm not going for a second term, Ireland has retained a seat, and we have an excellent new member in Dr. Michelle Walsh, who has an expertise in perpetrator programs, and it's really important that we've retained that seat.
And I hope, and you might know, Alan, but if you don't, our listeners do. Violence against women, domestic violence, it's something we're incredibly passionate and dedicate an awful lot of time to on this programme. And my questioning of you is in no way to diminish that. It's just, I want to see evidence that doing this that we don't wait 10 years and realise actually that it, in some way it was harmful, or it actually would have deeper effects on the granny, granddad, baby, mom and dad, baby dynamics. That's all. That's just the concerns I have.
Greg. I appreciate that, and I do appreciate all the work and the time you give to this area, because it's so important. But just for you to know, there is an expert group actually working in Europe at developing these programs for preschool as well, because really, when the child is learning very early on, and if the child has learned the wrong thing, if you like, or has had the experience, I should say, of the wrong type of touch, It's so important that they have the experience of the other.
Yeah. I understand. Okay. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Ellen O'Malley Dunlop there. I would have a lot of concern in that space. I understand exactly where Ellen's coming from. I have a great deal of respect for her. Does it get to a stage there where this is normalised, and if you wanted to be, and your child wanted to be affectionate with you in a public space, that all of a sudden people would be going, is there consent for that? Could a hug effectively be like slapping? We never wanted slapping. It's great. It's out of the it's out of child rearing nowadays for the most part. And if someone slapped a child in public, there'd be uproar, and rightly so. Could hugging your child be a point whereby everyone's talking about consent that they want? And I just don't know that. Like, we did stuff in secondary schools for a small proportion of children who maybe would question their gender, for an example. And they need to be looked after, cared for, and embraced. But for that small percentage, we're told it's like 1 or 2%, we took the guardrails off and stopped offering sort of guidance and advice for the majority. And, I believe that perhaps was the wrong approach, and there's a bit of undoing having to be done in relation to that. And it created problems. And this hands-off approach of parenting and education, we are potentially, arguably, raising a lot of children that actually, by the time it comes to the real world, don't really know how to function in it or struggle with it. And to start having a conversation, when you start having a conversation about whether a child gives permission or not, and I want to counter, please, I want to have this conversation because as a dad, I want to understand this myself, but it just feels like you're planting a seed in a child's mind that doesn't need to be there. And our role as parents and guardians is to ensure that people don't have contact with them inappropriately. But sadly, it's often this abuse can be within the home. So I don't know. Please help me out here to get through it. That just feels to me like just it just feels like we're going down and it's coming from and I don't know who backed Grevio or if they're all volunteers, what have you. I just don't know where this is coming from. That having that teaching kids in NENRA this stuff in some way might prevent violence against women or domestic violence. I'm not sure it would actually even have that effect. So what are we doing? Please have the conversation with me. Help me out. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and the text number. 086 60 25,000. Alternatively, by the way, just call 07491 25,000.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 12th of August. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €600. The reference number is S3. It's game number 33. The numbers are 90, 36, 81, 9, 78, 56, 47, 11, 15, and finally 33. Phone your claim to 91048333 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Get smarter insights into your energy when you join YouKnow Energy. With monthly predictions before every bill and a handy app that lets you track your hourly, daily and monthly usage, you won't know yourself with YouKnow Energy. Join YouKnow Energy today and save up to €929 a year on electricity and gas. YouKnow Energy. You just know. YouKnow Energy discount variable electricity rate EAB €1554 and discount variable gas rate €1192. For T's and C's rates and savings calculations, see YouKnowEnergy.ie. Surprise pricing may change.
Shop Homeland's mega deals. Dulux Weather Shield exterior colours. Buy 2 10 litre for €140. Save 20% of all Regatta outdoor clothing. 15% of all leads and collars. 20% of Royal Canin puppy and kitten ranges. All this and more. In-store and online at homeland.ie until August 21st.
This summer, why not freshen up your home at Grove Furnishings? From cool new suites and stylish dining sets to comfy beds, great bedroom furniture, unique occasional pieces, and beautiful rugs. You'll find hot offers in every department, and with free delivery within 80 kilometres, it's hassle-free. Feel the summer inspiration at Grow Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny. Visit growfurnishings.ie.
The Greg Hughes Show is proudly sponsored by Armacolour Jewellers, Letterkenny. Planning to pop the question? Visit their wedding and engagement weekend, 14th to the 16th of August, for bespoke ring design consultations, free jewellery health checks, and complimentary ring cleaning. Armacolour.com.
Now let's talk hospital car parking charges, and we welcome back onto the show Sinn Féin spokesperson on health, Deputy David Cullinan. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg. Thank you.
Right, now, I mean, you've been looking at these figures on a national level. I suppose maybe if you want to give a national overview first, David, then we can talk about Letterkenny University Hospital, because it has had one of the lowest, car park charge rates, but we are seeing an increase.
Yeah, so first of all, what we're looking at here is the revenue which is generated as opposed to the individual charges that each hospital charge. There is a variation, so some hospitals have a waiver system in place for some patients. Some hospitals have a cap of €10 a day, some don't. Some don't charge at all, so we don't have a consistent approach across all hospitals. The national picture in terms of revenue is that in 2022, the total amount collected from all hospitals was 10.6 million. In 2025, that increased to 17.76 million. So that's a very substantial increase over that time period. It's nearly an 80% increase. So obviously, part of that is rising charges. We've seen that anecdotally ourselves from getting information from our own local TDs, but also constituents contacting us. The Irish Cancer Society has been very strong on this, and every year in their alternative budget submissions, they always make the point that car parking charges have an impact on cancer patients. But it isn't just cancer patients, it's dialysis patients, it could be parents of sick children, people with disabilities, people who visit loved ones in hospitals are being hit. And if you look at the local figures, so if I can take the figures for Letterkenny, the total income generated in 2022 was 97,000. So there was a very significant jump up to 2025, up to 402,500, which is over a 300% increase. But we do have to bear in mind that in 2022 we were coming out of COVID, so that would have had some impact. But if you look at the year-on-year increases since, so in 2023 it was 283,000, in 2024 it went to 350,000, and then last year was 402,500. So we're seeing a steady increase year-on-year, and the charges going up at a time when the government actually committed to not just reviewing the charges in their programme for government, but actually reducing them year-on-year. And what we've seen is unfortunately the opposite.
Yeah. And as you say, your illness is subjective. So whilst there might be certain schemes or certain breaks, at the end of the day, a person is thinking about themselves at any given time. Their income has to be factored in. So we don't know the impact this is having on individuals. What would your party's stance be in relation to this? Do you accept that there needs to be some sort of a charge for the maintenance and running of hospital car parks? Because we don't want them to be abused either, do we? Or would you like to see sort of a reduced, more affordable charge, or no charge at all? What is your party's position, David?
Well, just for a start, the previous Minister for Health, Stephen Donnelly, as far back as 2018, ordered a national review of hospital car parking charges, and the terms of reference that was given was to phase out those charges. That came on the back of concerns that were being raised by patients, by organisations, as I mentioned earlier, the Irish Cancer Society. So they looked at this. They did say that some hospitals raised concerns about a complete abolition. If you have a hospital, for example, that's close to a city centre or town centre location, there was a fear then that people who were not either patients or visitors would use the car parks. I think that's understandable, but within the same report it talked about electronic systems and voucher systems. So I think as a starting point, to answer the question straight, there should be a consistency across all hospitals. So if there is a waiver in place for patients, in one hospital, I think that waiver should be in place in all hospitals.
Mm.
And then we should phase out the charges over a period of time. Like any part of a hospital, a building has to be maintained. The hospital wards have to be maintained. So whatever loss of revenue would come from car parking charges would obviously have to be funded then by the Exchequer.
Yeah.
And it's not a huge amount of
that's
money
what I was
in
going
the
to
overall
say.
scheme of the health budget.
17.6 million across all hospitals, public and voluntary hospitals in 2025. When you look at that as part of the health budget, it is tiny, isn't it? It's not going to make or break the health system by any stretch of the imagination, and it seems to be that maybe it's being used as a management tool rather than a revenue raising tool.
Well, it's partly revenue raising, so it is one of the reasons given in the parliamentary question response that it is an income for hospitals. Obviously, there's some level of maintenance for the car parks as well, so it is in some cases, yes, it is a management tool. And as I said, there are some hospitals where there is a fear that maybe people would park who are not patients or who are not visitors. Some hospitals actually get around that by having a system where you go in, you get your ticket validated. That's the case if you stay in some hotels, for example. So the systems are there to put in place those checks and balances. I suppose what we need to do as a starting point is recognise that while 17 million is a small amount of money in the context of the overall health budget, if you are a cancer patient or somebody visiting somebody who might be in hospital for maybe a week and you're travelling up every day, that's a big cost. Yeah. If you are a parent of a child, for example, who's in hospital, you've all the additional costs and car parking charges on top of it. So it is unfortunately one of those costs, not just for patients who may be going to a hospital for a day case procedure, but also for visitors. So I think it is something that we do need to phase out. I'm conscious of potential unintended consequences that have been raised by hospitals, which is why I think it should be a phased ending of the charges. And I think as a starting point, I think it's fair on everybody if there was that consistent approach and a uniform approach across all hospitals.
One final question.
Waiver,
one final question, David. Does that 17.5 million total include fines?
I don't think so. So the fines, I would imagine, would be separate. I'm not 100% sure on that, but the question I asked was the income generated from the charges themselves as opposed to fines.
It'd be interesting.
That's a good question. It's something that we could certainly follow up on. But my understanding is it's confined to the charges themselves.
Okay, well, we might, because it would be interesting to see if that did factored into it, and if not, what actually the figure for fines actually is. Because that is also hard-pressed people potentially being forced to pay out much more than whatever it is per hour. So we look forward to seeing that figure. Thank you, Deputy David Cullinan.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye. He's Sinn Féin's spokesperson on health. Right, it's the final countdown, by the way, because this Friday we start the €20,000 big summer draw. It's the big cash draw here at Highland Radio. We're giving away $2,000 on Friday. John Bresson's giving away $2,000 on Friday. Then there's $2,000 every Friday after that until the big one, €10,000 to be given away on this show. The reason I'm telling you now, you can enter just for the 10,000, the last draw, which is taking place in September, the start of September. But we have 6 draws. And if you want to be in all of those draws, you've 2 days, really effectively, less than 2 days now at this stage. So what I'm saying to you is if you intend entering the Highland Radio big summer draw, everyone who's won so far has been from Donegal. That's just the way it is, because it's a competition for us, our listeners. And that means the entries are lower than you will see in a lot of these Facebook competitions. The chances to win are much greater than a pittance on the lotto. Such is the way the odds work. And I'm not saying everyone's going to win, don't get me wrong, but this is a good draw to enter if you're that way inclined. If you don't have the money, do not be spending it on this. It's only if you have a spare bit of cash and you want to have a bit of fun while you're listening to your favourite radio station. So, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 10,000. There's 6 draws in total. You want to be in all of those draws, so get your tickets now. So that means you sit back. Let me remind you, you don't have to answer the phone. There's not a phrase that pays. You don't have a certain amount of rings. Your ticket is bought and it's in that draw drum for all 6 draws. But get them now. One ticket's €15. I'd go 5 for 50, and I'm a bit tight, so I'd say to my brothers and sisters, I would say, look, do you want a ticket? I can get them for you a tenner. I can get you a ticket for a tenner effectively. Or if I was feeling generous, I'd buy the 5. You can put different people's names on them. So if you've got 5 grandchildren, you can ignore them and put your name on all of them. That's what I would do too. Right, so how do you get the tickets? You can go onto the website. It's safe, secure, highlandradio.com. You'll see the link there. Or you might prefer to give us a ring here. The lines are open right now, 07491 25,000. The team is here to process, and then it's done. You just sit back, your ticket is in there. You've got your number. You've got 6 chances for it to come out and win anything from €2,000 to €10,000. So get on the website, highlandradio.com, or alternatively, as I mentioned, give us a ring here on 07491 25,000. And we see a steady flow of people that call up to the office. We can do it in office hours. Maybe you don't want to use your card. Maybe you don't trust the internet. Well, you can call into us here at the Mountaintop in Letterkenny as well. But what I will say, if you're inclined to enter, give us the buzz now, 07491 25,000. Get online right now and get your ticket. 1 ticket for 15, but you can get 5 for 50. And all jokes aside, you can put different names on those tickets. So you can give your wife or your sister or your husband, give them a ticket, and they say, that's your number there, 1552. That's your number now, and you've got 6 chances to win. Right, so get on it, because what will happen is people will ring up on Friday morning, and we will endeavour and try hard to get everyone in the draw that wants to. But there can be a panic on it, and some people might miss out, because you see, we have to close the draw, and the way we do it is physical. And this is why we have to have a definitive close-off time on Friday. So we close the draw at 10, and then we quite literally get the tickets that are associated with people's names, come in here, throw them in the draw drum, give it a few rotations, and then do the draw. You know, it's not on a computer screen or anything like that there, and you can watch all the draws as well. So, and then the lines would reopen again after the draw, so that people who didn't get in can get in. But anyway, my advice to you is, A, if you've got a bit of cash and you want to have a bit of fun, enter and do it now. 07491 25,000 or the website highlandradio.com. That's all I can say. Right, lots of you messaging in on the issue of hugging. And I don't know, I haven't looked at them yet, but I have about 2-3 dozen of them here in front of me. It'll be interesting to see where the dice fell in relation to that. I'm going to take a break, and are we in the garden today? Because I see Spuds knocking about. If you have any gardening questions as well, Paul is up to us from Ballochder Garden Centre. He's going to be answering your questions. We've a load in already. He's going to be answering your questions. Still time to get them in. 08660 25,000. But your comments on hugging kids. Educate them in Neenra preschool about consent and consent of hugging, consent of a childminder, whether or not they need assistance going for a wee, that type of stuff. Your comments have been coming in thick and fast, some of them coming up after these.
The Greg Hughes Show, sponsored by McCullough Jewelers, Main Street, Letterkenny. Discover your perfect engagement or wedding ring at their wedding and engagement weekend, 14th, 15th and 16th of August. Appointments recommended. Find out more at ormccullough.com.
You offered them a cuppa when they saw yours. That's definitely enough for a little treat. Cadbury Delights, with 91 calories of milk chocolate, nougat and caramel in every bar.
The Easy Living Furniture mid-season sale is here. With absolutely everything reduced, now's the perfect time to transform your home. Save on luxurious sofas, beautiful dining furniture, stylish bedroom collections, home accessories and so much more. But don't wait, shop early for the best choice. The Easy Living Furniture mid-season sale is now on. Shop today at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
How do you fancy a pre-owned Hyundai Tucson from only €69 a week? Well, why not call into Divers Hyundai and check out their range of used Tucsons with finance available from only 4.99%. Zero deposit options are also available for a limited time. Offers are available on selected models only. Check out Divers Hyundai Letterkenny and you could be driving away in your Hyundai Tucson quicker than you think. Call 9122 for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Example advertised is for a 2022 Tucson hire purchase agreement with €7,500 deposit. Balance for finance is €16,445. Total cost of credit is €2,156.
From the first time they lose a
baby tooth,
chocolate, Dad?
To the countless times they forget to mention their
ingredients for homework tomorrow.
Kids grow up fast. Luckily, at Tesco, we have back-to-school gear that grows with them, including trousers and skirts with adjustable hems and waists, so you can focus less on the cost and more on all this. Tesco. Every little helps. Available in the majority of larger stores.
Milford Tiles, Milford Retail Park. Tiles, bathware and wood flooring. The best quality and value in the Northwest. Fully stocked and ready to go. Fitters and delivery available. 10% off for Mica affected customers. Don't forget to ask about our 5-day bathroom fit out. Call Milford Tiles on 083 091 0707.
So we heard earlier from Ellen O'Malley Dunlop, who's an outgoing member of Gravero, which is a group of people, experts from Europe, who are experts in violence against women and domestic violence, which is something we're very passionate about getting rid of as much as we can in this country and in this region. And they are calling for consent education to be taught to children as young as preschool age. So the idea being, and an example was given, that, if Granny comes around to the house, you're not saying to your child, give Granny a hug. You're saying, do you want to give Granny a hug or do you want to give them a high five? Again, and as I said, I'm just being completely honest, and this is a magazine show. It's not the news, so I can sort of relate reticence if I have it. A caller says, I have 2 young boys. I just open my arms and say one word, hug, as a question. Sometimes they say, no, it's fine. It's not a conversation about sex. It just lets them know it's okay not to want a hug sometimes. The reality is, as your guest speaker said, often the child will come running for a hug. I think this is very good, not PC gone mad, as some may frame it. But, what you're doing is what you do. I mean, I don't run around after Hudson demanding a hug or taking a hug or asking him to hug me if I don't want to. That's just normal family discourse. What this is about is educating children outside of the home about this. What you're doing, I've never hugged a child that didn't want to be hugged. My own children I'm talking about. That's normal. But what we're talking about here is this being taught in schools by a third party and going beyond what you're saying. I mean, I think no one's going to hug a child that doesn't want to be hugged. Good morning, Greg. A child just doesn't think they're the opposite sex or wanting to be a cat or dog. It's down to the parents explaining what their sex is and the difference between family or females and males, humans and non-human, the good old-fashioned way of the birds and the bees. Our children may find themselves being influenced today by outside, home or by games of today. Teaching our children about consent or anything belongs to the parents, not schools or any other body. I hug my grandchildren every time I see them, and I tell them I love them every time I see them. I feel it's very important that they hear this. My own children are adults, and I still call them last thing at night and say I love you and good night. And I don't know what's right or wrong, but you might see in big families back in the old days, you might get a hug once a year. Because and I think it often happens in big families, you just don't see it as much. And then you get smaller families and they're constantly hugging each other. Hi, Greg. I can't listen to this nonsense. It's the type of thinking that is kids identifying as cats and dogs in our schools and homes today. Another, they're destroying children, making them afraid of everything and everybody. Good morning, Greg. I can't understand your guest. Children need the love and affection of family and friends. With all due respect, I disagree strongly. I know where it's coming from, historical abuse, but please allow children to have true affection from those who love them. Another, how will they be able to show affection? Well, the idea being is that they don't want to, and you respect that because they're not consenting to show you affection, I presume. Hi, Greg. I think the world is away mad. I don't think young children of that age should be learning about consent for something as simple as a hug from their granny. Another, I never heard a woman talking waffle as much in my life. Another layer of nonsense. Another, if staff didn't help the kids, there'd be a lot of lessons learned. Some of these lessons have more long-term trauma consequences. Staff are vetted and they are there to help a child develop in the absence of their parents. Another, I have high-fived my grandchildren for a long time. Some of them prefer it and some of them grab me for a hug, but I only do the high five and leave the hug choice up to them. Yeah, again, you as a granddad or grandmom, that is what you do, and it's natural. And kids get a high five, and Hudson will hug some people and not others. No one's forcing him to hug them. It's part of the relationship, or his relationship he might have with different people. This is about then taking that child into a different space and having that conversation with their young mind. And rather than that being the natural choice of you high-fiving or hugging your grandchildren, a third party in a school has told them to think about that before it happens. So what you're talking about is nature. What you're talking about is what happens in every house. What was suggested is that child would then be thinking about that interaction with you. Do I want to hug Granddad, or is it right to hug him or not? That's what we're talking about here. Yours and that listener earlier on is the perfectly normal way. No one's hugging kids that they don't want to hug. No one wants a hug from a kid that is forced or isn't right, do they? Right, okay, more comments coming in. We're getting in the garden after these.
The Greg Hughes Show with Armacolla Jewelers, Main Street, Letterkenny. Don't miss their wedding and engagement weekend on the 14th, 15th and 16th of August with free bespoke ring consultations, jewellery health checks and complimentary ring cleaning. Visit armacolla.com.
Need somebody to love.
Better sleep starts at Dreams Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry. Try our exclusive Sleep Match technology and get €100 off when you spend over €850. Choose from hundreds of beds and mattresses with advice from our sleep experts. Visit Dreams Crescent Link Retail Park today.
This Friday, Around the Northwest will be broadcasting live from Dolan Spar in Rafo from 11 until 1 p.m, celebrating their first anniversary with loads of fun, fantastic giveaways and plenty happening throughout the show. We'll be chatting to the team, hearing about their hugely successful first year and checking out some of their great offers in store. That's Around the Northwest, live from Dolan Spar, Rafo, this Friday from 11 a.m.
Looking for a relaxing breakaway? Discover the Golden Years Getaway at Canavan's Hotel, Garvaghey, County Tyrone. Enjoy 2 nights for 2 people sharing with dinner, bed and breakfast, all for just £270 per couple. Call today or visit canavans.co.uk to book your Golden Years Getaway. Terms apply.
Haven't finished your garden yet? Get it ready before summer's gone. McMonigal Stone, premium natural stone for driveways, patios and more. Visit us at Mount Charles or shop online at mcmonigalstone.com.
McMonigal Stone, created by nature, built for life.
Great news for furniture buyers. The Cooney's Home Interiors closing down sale has been continued. With so much stock still available, they've made further reductions on the remaining stock for immediate clearance. The closing down sale at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park. Don't miss out.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Get back to school sorted with our collection of school uniforms, shoes and accessories. Visit our kids department in store or discover our back to school shop online at michaelhoney's.com.
So, warm today. The showers that we're about should have cleared at this stage. And we're going to have hazy sunny spells throughout the day. Temperatures around about 23 degrees over the northwest. Winds moderate. And we're in the garden now with Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballochdar Garden Centre at the mountaintop here in Letterkenny. And the weather doesn't know what we do. The weather decides what to do while we make plans. Isn't that it?
Yes, pretty much. So the weather's been quite pleasant. No, it's been quite for gardening actually.
Normally you sit on the other side, so I moved the camera. No, it's fine. And you're so... Yeah, that's normally where you sit, so I moved the camera.
Very good, very good.
And then you decided you're going to sit another way.
I didn't know it was a creature of habit.
Well, there you go. So we're in a nice wee spell now. Mild at night, mild during the day.
Yes.
I've noticed myself that you can just see the growth. Like it's crazy how it follows the. It's not crazy, it's nature.
No, absolutely. Everything's growing quite well because you have that real harsh heat. Like further down the country, they seem to be actually, there are a few people saying grass is getting burnt up.
Right, we've a
like
bit of moisture still.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So we're not too bad.
Busy for you. What cycle are you in garden centres at the moment?
Garden centre wise, we're sort of through the worst of the summer bedding stuff, if you know what I mean. September generally is hedging time, if you know what I mean. But we have other stuff going on as well. We do a lot of work out through the country, and at this time of August always a month for schools. Everybody wants stuff done for coming into September now and that, so we're getting through that as we go on.
Brilliant stuff. Now, you like a bit of folklore, a bit of history.
Yes.
And we have a solar eclipse partial, albeit over 90% this evening. Is there anything that gardeners tracked or followed, or any interesting little tales relating to the garden and the solar eclipse?
Yes, pretty much. I was looking up just in the last few days. There's been a lot of chat about the solar eclipse there. So there is, but generally gardeners traditionally, or farmers, always went by the moon. And a lunar eclipse was always seen as a good sign, that it was just a positive sign for harvest, stuff like that, because they were all generally working with the moon. In terms of solar eclipses now, you have a different connotation to them. They were always seen nearly as being negative, if you know what I mean. So I think I was looking into Celtic peoples back in Ireland and Wales, particularly, actually, used to think that the idea of a solar eclipse was a wild beast trying to steal the sun.
Well, I mean, like, we think we're clever, but we're not clever, but we think we know stuff. I'm thinking you go back, centuries, and this thing that's always up beaming in the sky all of a sudden starts to disappear.
Yes,
or be obscured, and you don't know you don't know the workings of it.
It would be frightening if you sort of don't know the science behind it. So it would be.
You wouldn't know it was coming.
Exactly.
It would just begin.
So whenever people did that, but apparently the way of warding off this wild beast that was stealing the sun was to go out with your pots and pans and battle them together to scare away the animal stealing the sun.
And I suppose if you wait an hour, it worked.
Yeah, pretty much. Neighbours may think you're a bit weird, but
no, but I mean, like, they would. All right, it's working. It's working. Right, that's crazy. Right, in more modern times now, it's the usual mix, isn't it? Keeping the weeds away, plenty of water, and food where necessary.
Yes, absolutely. Important time now to actually, the flowers are they've done their thing to an extent, and they're still going, but if you keep feeding them now, they will keep going on right up to nearly Halloween or so. So now is an important time to give them a wee feed.
And now's a good time to be looking forward. Is now the opportune time for cuttings? So what can we take cuttings from? What would we do with those cuttings?
Yes, pretty much we want to take cuttings now, sort of in the next few weeks is a perfect time for doing it. Generally hedging plants, if you want to extend your hedges for free, basically, take cuttings off it, plant them in. Just even YouTube will tell you how to do it pretty much. But in terms of more flowering plants, you have like say hydrangeas, stuff like that, even herbs, rosemary, stuff like that. They all react very quickly from cuttings. So
do we tend to sort of see the lifespan of some of these bedding plants as just the summer?
Yes, pretty much. A lot of them are treated as annuals.
But we can repot them ourselves.
Yes, certain varieties, like actually your geraniums, that sort of thing, you can repot and actually bring into the house for the winter.
Okay.
And then put back out again. Going back, say, 100 years ago, they were the traditional plants in Ireland because you were able to maintain it through the seasons.
All right, sounds good. Fruit gardens or just bushes and hedges, they're heavy with their crop now, are they?
Pretty much, your apples and that should be sort of coming to fruition now. Some varieties would be ready towards the end of August, most of them sort of in September, October time. Like so your fruit bushes, like your black currants, red currants, generally nearly would be harvested at this stage. Brilliant. And the gooseberries and that sort of thing. Excellent. So you should have your jam made.
Yes, you're not doing jam this year, are you?
No, not at the minute anyway, because I just never got round to it. And the birds get most of my berries, unfortunately.
And just for those of us lucky to have a lawn, I suppose you can use your eye a lot of the time, can't you? If you're cutting too low, you're going to see that.
Pretty much, if you get a prolonged dry period, the grass sort of doesn't bounce back as quick and can look a bit tired and a bit sort of scalped at the time. Yeah. So just raise if you want to tidy it up, just raise the blades a wee bit.
One thing I noticed though, and there's nothing goes on it, they can bounce back quite quickly.
Absolutely, a couple of days in a wee shower rain, and they really will bounce back very quickly.
Well, it's not like the end of the world if you cut it tight and it looks yellow. Is it difficult to grow basil in a window box, and when's the right time? Thank you kindly.
Yes, basil can be one of the harder herbs to grow. It's a Mediterranean thing, so it's a wee bit harder to grow around here. But the important thing is to actually start from seed, because the ones you buy in the supermarkets, that if you try and plant them out, they're just not geared towards our climate as much as anything else. So start them from seed, start them any time of year now, and should be happy enough.
All right, that's an interesting point. Peony rose has not flowered the past 4 years.
Yes.
Peony?
Peonies.
Peony?
Generally, peony rose, I would say that probably, if it hasn't flowered in the last few years, it's probably got compacted. Sort of it's grown into itself in the root. Now, sort of September, October, you can actually lift up the whole sort of plant and divide it. Probably just Google how exactly to divide it, but normally a bigger clump you divide into 4 or 5 pieces and set them individually again, and that should reinvigorate it.
Gives it space to breathe almost.
Exactly.
Yeah. We go away for 2 months each year. It's normally around February and March, which is lovely, isn't it? Say they go to Lanzarote or Tenerife, don't you know? Do you have to look after your polytunnel all year round? We had a similar question about this before.
Generally, them months you could get away with it if you sort of gear your crops towards it. A lot of time now, if polytunnels, you can generally get automatic watering systems too. So you can put in timers.
So really, it's the watering is the critical thing for those 2 months.
The watering would be the
right?
critical thing, because obviously it's not getting rain. But no, if you gear your crops towards it, like a lot of people wouldn't be planting sort of late March anyway.
Yeah.
So you'd be happy enough.
Okay, cool. What flowers should I plant if I want lots of colour during the summer? That's kind of past a little bit
Kind of
now.
past a wee
right,
bit.
okay,
You're now borderline getting into the sort of spring bulbs again.
Yeah.
Your daffodils and stuff from next month will be out.
Okay.
So, plenty of options there.
What time of the year is the best time of year to cut Wigelia?
Wigelia, yeah.
Yes.
Wigelia, lovely flowering shrub actually. Generally, a shrub like that there, after it's finished flowering, so it should be sort of in full flower now.
Mm-hmm.
They get up maybe 5-6 feet high, so you can be quite harsh with them. Generally, whenever it's finished flowering, or anytime through the autumn, be perfect.
I see a note about reported sightings of tolerant ash trees.
Yes.
Is this nature's response to the attack on ash?
Pretty much. Since 2012, the ash dieback disease has been through the country, and it was feared it was going to kill every ash tree in the country, basically. Yeah. But a lot of them are responding naturally to the thing, and some of them are actually looking quite healthy.
Brilliant.
So there are actually a few down the shop down Ulstern here.
Yeah.
There are a few around it.
Okay,
Actually
cool.
don't seem to have been touched. So
Wow.
you can report to Chagas if you see a fully healthy ash tree. You can report it to Chagas, the farming crowd, and they will then go and harvest seeds off it to try and breed the tolerant